This is Art Television.
Coming up, State of Business, sponsored by
IWS Aviation.
Good evening and a warm welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Heshain Ali and let's have a look at the headlines first. Decision to bring travel restrictions could be taken at any time depending on the situation, government warns. Port City will not be separated from the Colombo city and it will only be an extension to the city, officials assure. News in detail. The Cabinet has endorsed a proposal made by the Minister of Health to boost the purchase of the testing kits and other equipment to increase the PCR test frequency. Co-Cabinet spokesman and Plantation Minister Dr. Ramesh Pathirana told a weekly Cabinet press conference that the government laboratories have increased the number of PCR tests to around 20,000 per day. Co-Cabinet spokesman Minister Pathirana states that the government has taken necessary steps to increase the number of hospital beds by 3,000 to treat COVID-19 patients. Minister further claims that rumours of hospital beds devoted to treating COVID patients being depleted is false. Sri Lanka has seen an increase in COVID-19 cases, bringing the total number of confirmed coronavirus cases in the country to 113,676, with 709 deaths as a result of the disease. For the fifth day in a row, Sri Lanka counted surging number of coronavirus cases with 1,923 new caseloads recorded yesterday. According to Health Promotion Bureau statistics, 14,758 people are under treatment for COVID-19 at the hospitals in Sri Lanka, with 98,209 being the cumulative number of COVID-19 cases recovered and discharged in Sri Lanka.
කොවිඩ් සතක මණ්ඩලයත් එක්කයි සාකච්ඡා වෙන්නේ. ඒ සාකච්ඡාවේදී විශේෂයෙන්ම තියෙන තත්ත්වයන් සම්බන්ධව විශ්ලේෂණය කරමින් කොටස් වශයෙන් මේ අවශ්‍ය ප්‍රමාණයට ඒ දේ කර යුතුයි කියන මතයේ ඉන්නේ. ඉදිරියේදී සමහරක් විතර මම කිව්වා වගේ හෙට දවස වෙනකොට සමහරක් වෙනත් හින්දුවක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. දවස වෙනකොට ගන්නට පුළුවන්. ඒ තියෙන තත්ත්වයන් විශ්ලේෂණය කරමින් පාලනයක් ඇති කිරීමට හැකියාව තුල කටයුතු කරමින් සිටිනවා.
Co-Cabinet spokesman Minister Dr. Ramesh Pathirana also claimed that vaccination is the best mechanism to curtail the spread of the pandemic. The minister said this at the Cabinet decision media briefing held at the Department of Government Information today. In response to a journalist query about the government's vaccination plans, Minister Pathirana said that the government is currently awaiting World Health Organization approval for the Chinese COVID-19 vaccine for emergency use. In addition, the minister said that the intensity is much lower in vaccinated areas like Colombo and Gampaha. Addressing the media, Cabinet spokesman Kehlia Ramakwala further stated that Sri Lanka has signed an agreement with Russia to receive 13.5 million of Sputnik COVID-19 vaccines.
Actually, we are awaiting the approval from the World Health Organization for this Chinese vaccine for emergency use. We have 600 doses at hand at this particular moment. So if we get the approval from World Health Organization, we should be able to immunize 600,000 more people, and apart from that we are receiving 15,000 doses from Russia. The brand name is Sputnik, and once we immunize the people with that Sputnik vaccination, we should be able to get further quantities in time to come. But it's very clearly shown that in the areas where we have vaccinated already, especially in Colombo and Gampaha districts, the intensity is much lesser in congested areas. So it's the only answer, but for the time being, in the interim period, we have to ensure that we are, curtailing the spread of the virus. But the best mechanism to prevent the disease is the vaccination. It's very clear.
As far as the vaccination is concerned, there is a plan. As you know, that we are faced with not only many countries are faced with the issue with the Indian product, or rather Covishield. But now that we have also signed up with Russia for 13.5 million, the first 15,000 and every Friday we will get 100,000. There is also an issue of their validity. It's only 6 months. So you need to plan it out and space it out. And we are doing that. And by July, August, September, we are planning to bring this 13.5 million, which means that would be quite content. And then we are also looking at other possibilities where AstraZeneca has been bought and they are not used. And we are trying to make contacts with those authorities elsewhere, and then also to bring this required amount of maybe 500 to 600,000. We have a problem in hand, but we are looking at various variety of ways to get rid of that issue.
Officials from the Colombo port city announced that the establishment of such a city must be seen as an essential for Sri Lanka to strengthen its economy. The head of public relations of the port city project, Kasper Senarath, mentioned that no whatsoever plans to separate the port city from the Colombo city, and it will purely be an extension to the Colombo city.
මේ කොළඹ නගරේ ආර්ථික මර්මස්ථානයේ විදිහට සැලකෙන කොළඹ කොටු ආශ්‍රිත ප්‍රදේශය මේ විදිහට අලුත් ගොඩබිමක් නිර්මාණය කළ එක වාණිජමය අරමුණු සඳහා භාවිතා කිරීම තමයි මේකේ සරල අදහස. ඒ මිසක් කරන්නේ මේක වෙනම කලාපයක් විදිහට කොටු කරලා ගේට්ටු දාලා ටිකට් කඩලා භාවිතා කිරීම මේකේ කොයිම අවස්ථාවකවත් එහෙම අපේ අරමුණක් තිබුණේ නැහැ. මූලික සැලැස්මේ ඉඳලා ගත්තාම මේක නගරේම පුළුල් කිරීමක්, නගරේම දිගුවක්. ඒ අනුව නගරයට පැමිණෙන ඕනෑම කෙනෙකුට නිදහසේ කොළඹ වරාය නගරයට ඇතුළු වීමට පිටවීමට අවශ්‍ය සැලසුම් ඒ නගරයේ සැලසුම් කරන්නේ ඇතුළෙන්ම සඳහන් කරපු සැලසුම් කරපු නගරයක්.
Stay tuned for more news right after this commercial break.
News, views, highlights, updates and opinions. This is Wake Up With Us.
Welcome back after the break. The Cabinet of Ministers has given the nod to the proposal submitted by the Minister of Tourism for entering into a Memorandum of Understanding to improve the quality of educational programs at the Sri Lanka Tourism and Hotel Management Institute. Co-Cabinet spokesman Minister Kehlia Rabakwala revealed this at the weekly Cabinet press conference today. The key goal of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Sri Lanka Tourism and Hotel Management Institute and the EHL Consultancy Services Company Limited of New Delhi, India is to improve the quality of educational programs at the Sri Lanka Tourism and Hotel Management Institute. In collaboration with the Swiss Embassy, the initiative will conduct an observational report on the condition of educational facilities. Moreover, the Cabinet has accepted the Minister of Ports and Shipping's proposal to obtain the legal draftsman's approval for a national regulatory system for vessels that participate in commercial activities in territorial waters. The Export Development Board, the Ministry of Development Strategies and International Trade and the Ministry of Naval collaborated to establish this regulatory mechanism. Accordingly, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa's proposition to table the Central Bank of Sri Lanka's annual report in Parliament, which he made as Minister of Finance, was accepted by the Cabinet yesterday. The annual report of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka for the year 2020 was submitted to the Minister of Finance on 30th of April. The Consulate General of Sri Lanka in Guangzhou recently initiated and coordinated a webinar in collaboration with the Guangdong Department of Commerce and the Sri Lanka Board of Investment. A total of 130 people from 95 corporations and government agencies in Guangdong province took part in the webinar. Consul General of Sri Lanka in Guangzhou, Priyangika Dharmasena, met briefly with Deputy Director General Zhao King and explored ways to improve trade and investment relations between Guangdong Province and Sri Lanka. Consul General Dharmasena enticed both large and small businesses in Guangdong Province to invest in Sri Lanka, citing the strategic location, proximity to key markets, skilled workforce, and investment security as attractive factors. After a brief statement, BOI Chairman Sanjay Motala gave a concise presentation focusing on investment opportunities in the manufacturing field, specifically pharmaceuticals, clothing, electronic components, rubber goods and automobile parts. Two testimonial recordings, one from a wealthy Chinese investor in knitted fabrics and the other from an American investor in the manufacture of racing sails, were shown to the crowd, demonstrating the favourable investment climate in Sri Lanka. JVP leader parliamentarian Anura Kumara Dissanayake says that consumers have been deceived by the latest 18-litre gas cylinder released to the market by Litro Gas Lanka Limited. Addressing the media from the JVP head office at Battaramulla, JVP's parliamentary group leader Dissanayake charged that the government's plan was to increase its income, misleading the general public.
119.50 ගෑස් කිලෝග්‍රෑම් එක 152 දක්වා වැඩි කරලා තිබෙනවා. ආසන්න වශයෙන් ගත්ත රුපියල් 32කින් ගෑස් කිලෝග්‍රෑම් එක වැඩි කරා. 32කින් කියන්නේ කිලෝග්‍රෑම් 12.5ක් තියෙනකොට 10ක් තිබ්බ 320කින් වැඩි වෙනවා. නේ 12ක් තව 64යි, ඒකෙන් 384යි, තව 16යි 400යි. හරියට ගත්තොත් මොකද කරලා තියෙන්නේ? ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරේ බර අඩු කිරීම හරහා සිදු වී තිබෙන දේ තමයි කිලෝග්‍රෑම් 12.5ක් තියෙන ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරේ බර රුපියල් 400කින් වැඩි කරලා තියෙනවා. ලංකාවේ මම දැකලා නැහැ මෙහෙම ආන්න. බඩු මිල වැඩි වුණා නම් වැඩි වුණා. හැබැයි මොකද කරන්නේ? බඩු මිල අඩු කරනවා, බර අඩු කරලා. හැබැයි බර අඩු කරලා අඩු කරපුවා මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? ඇත්ත සිලින්ඩරයක බර රුපියල් 400කින් වැඩි කරලාද? කවුද මේ රවට්ටන්නේ? අපේ ගම්වල සාමාන්‍ය ජනතාව ගිහිල්ලා. ඔවුන් කවදාවත් ලීටර ගාන කොච්චරද, කිලෝග්‍රෑම් කොච්චරද බලන්නේ නැහැ. ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරේ බලන්නේ. ඔබ ගිහිල්ලා ගත්තොත් කවුරුවත් කවදාවත් මං හිතන්නේ මේ සංවාදේ වෙනකන් ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරයක ලීටර කීයක් තියෙනවද? ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරේ බර කීයද කියලා දන්නේ නැහැ. ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරයක් ඉල්ලනවා. හැබැයි දැනුත් ගිහලා ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරයක් ඉල්ලනවා. ඉල්ලන මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? බර අඩු කරලා, මිල වැඩි කරලා. මේ වගේ ප්‍රයෝගයක යෙදෙන ආණ්ඩුවක් මේක. අන්තිමට වට උත්තර දෙන්න ඕන කවුද වෙළඳාමතුවරයා? ඔහුනේ සියල්ල දත් වගේ සියල්ල වගකීම් බාර ගන්න හැම දෙයක් පිළිබඳ ප්‍රකාශ දෙන නේද? සීනි මිල වැඩි වුණත්, පොල් මිල වැඩි වුණත් විවිධ උත්තර දෙන ඇමතිවරයා. හැබැයි මෙවැනි සටකපට ජනතාව රවට්ටපු රැවටිලිකාරී ක්‍රියාදාමයක් බන්දුලු ගුණවර්ධන අමාත්‍යවරයා මඟ හරිනවා.
Stay tuned for stock updates.
Sponsored by
Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The all-share price index dropped by 104.15 points to close at 7,111.45, and the S&P SL20 dropped by 34.15 points to close at 2,815.94. The turnover was 3 billion rupees and over 195 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. And that's all news for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business at the usual time. Until then, take care and good night.
State of Business was sponsored by
IWS Aviation.